Hello, my name is Bambi Harris. I'm a writer, mostly a mystery writer, mostly a novelist, someone who does some inspirational quotes, but most of all I'm someone who has produced a lot of books and done it the hard way and fumbled around, and I'm hoping that whatever I've done can help you. Pick and choose whatever you want from my tips, but I will be bringing them out every Saturday, and hope that if you have any questions, please feel free to comment on the video so I can possibly respond to you in another video in the future. Today we're talking about bringing a scene to life. I do call them scenes because when you're reading a book, people are in different scenes, they're in different scenery, different locations, different scenarios. So one time they might be talking in a basement, another time they might be walking in the park, but they're scenes. So to bring a scene to life, I'm essentially saying, let's go with the writer, let's follow them in, let the writer take the reader by the hand and show them everything that's going on. So say if you walked into say a library, and the writer said, Joe and Jane are in the library, they're looking at books, they have a discussion, he said, she said, and then they leave. That omits a great deal of information that could make the reader experience it more in 3D. Every scene in life is multidimensional and we might not be conscious of it at the time, but what is happening is we're using all of our senses all at once. Humans are amazing beings, and even if we can't use all of our senses, even if we're blind or something like that, we can experience things through different ways. So for a reader, they want to walk into a room and know what's going on in all ways possible. And you don't want to necessarily weave that into the story too bluntly, but you want to pour it into the conversation, into certain notations, so they can understand what's going on and they can feel it and sense it, but they don't feel like they're hammered with data. So you wouldn't say the jukebox was on, the coffee pot was on, the rain was outside, the people were stepping on the floor, or whatever. You want to weave it in, so it's not just A, B, C, D, not just bullet points. You don't want to write a book through bullet points. You want to weave it in, mix it in, stir it in, so the reader doesn't even notice, and yet they come away from that chapter or scene experiencing it in full. So there are certain things you want to incorporate into every scene. So say if we're in a 40s diner, okay, so you would say something like, the bell rang on the door behind Jane and everyone turned and looked at her. The sound of the jukebox in the corner was something familiar to her. She had heard that song before, but it was only overshadowed by the clinking of cutlery and plates being washed in the back kitchen. People were murmuring and people were talking, and the guy at the bar waved hello to her, although he seemed uncomfortable. She pushed her hair behind her ear, her brown hair, because that's what we've talked about before. Let's keep the descriptions of the character. She tucked her brown hair behind her ear and glanced down at the floor, or glanced down at the black and white tiled floor. This is a description of the scene, so this is visual. She's hearing the jukebox, she's hearing the cutlery, she's hearing the murmuring voices. The smell of cotton candy perfume wafted through the air, intermingling with the smell of hamburgers and potatoes, and someone was, passing the plate around. So we're talking about smell and sound and visual, and then the character themselves. So that's obviously not polished writing, I'm just making it up on the spot. But you've got someone entering into a building, hearing the bell, feeling awkward. You described what their hair color, you described the floor, the sounds of the jukebox. It's bringing the era to life, because today you won't have a jukebox in the cafe. The people murmuring, obviously there's an awkward scenario. You get the sensation, even if this is the very first chapter, and it could be, you could start your first chapter ever as someone walking into a room and the awkward feeling. And what's really good about that, and we'll address page turners later and introductions to chapters, but what really is good about starting a book like that is straight away you're giving the reader the sensation that she has done something that other people are talking about. She feels awkward. People are talking about her. She's glancing down at the floor. All the while, you're also giving them an understanding of the scene, the era, the sounds, the smells. You don't even have to say, you probably even shouldn't have to say it, but you don't need to say she's in a diner. Once you hear the jukebox, the food, describe it a bit more, the black and white tile floor, the little salt and pepper shakers and things like that on the small tables scattered around. You can say all of these things, and you don't have to say them all at once, but straight away in that very first half page perhaps, you've set the scene. You could even set the scene as the beginning of the book and have people already know this girl or this young woman is has upset people or has done something that people are talking about. She feels awkward and she's in a diner and it's in the past. You bring it to life through the smells, through the sounds, through the feelings, because you can tell she's feeling uncomfortable. You can tell the people are talking about her. The music's on, so that's what she can hear. You could even bring taste into it, like her gum is getting bland and she wants to spit it out, but she doesn't want to bring attention to herself. You can say all of these things and not say, this is the 40s, this is her name, this is where she is, and yet you can tell so much just in that scene by giving the external senses and bringing them in, and then visually what can she see. So she's walking in, you don't have to say she's coming in, no first person point of view, just say, you don't even have to say her name. You can say the young woman, or being 33 or something like that. The 33-year-old woman walked into the with the door shutting behind her, with the bell ringing, things like that. So you can really start that way. So you can even start like the very first line. It doesn't have to be anything dramatic. It can be something really striking and interesting, or it can be something already hooking you in. Straight away, the very first line can hook you in just by saying the door of the diner rang behind her, and with that, within seconds, everyone in the room put down their plates and looked at her. So that would straight away make whoever's reading it go, well, what has she done? What do they think she's done? What is this about? Who is she? And right away, you're going to get the person to want to read the second line, and probably the next few paragraphs at least. So you're bringing someone in, you're setting the scene, and you're bringing it to life by incorporating all the senses. So no matter where you are, if you're in a park, they could be talking. Jane says to Joe, I really didn't know it was going to happen like this. She sighed as the birds sang in the background. It was kind of upsetting to hear them sing so happily. The sun was shining and she could feel it warming her back, but she didn't feel happy at all. She knew this was goodbye. So see, you're already in the park, you've got daylight, so visually the reader is out in a sunny day in their mind. The birds are singing, so it's a nice spring or summer day, and yet we're saying how Jane is feeling. You could say she tugged on the bottom of her blue sundress, so then you give her a description, but then go right into dialogue again. She tugged on the end of her blue sundress and looked at him, then turned away, not wanting him to read her thoughts. So these are all ways of setting the scene. Always keep in mind what real life is like. The more real it is, the more believable. I always talk about believable because otherwise people are going to walk away and go, that doesn't gel with me, or I really can't it's too one-dimensional. You want to get away from one-dimensional. You want to make it 3D for the reader. You don't want the reader to fill in all the blanks because they get tired of that. So really just think about what can they hear, what can they see, can they taste anything, what else have we got? We've got all the senses, right? What can they smell? So like if she was at the diner again, she can smell the ham, or she can smell cigarettes, people smoking, perfume. So out in the park, you know, you might smell flowers. You know, out in the alleyway, you might smell, you know, urine or rats, or, you know, not unpleasant smells in the dark, dank, cold alleyway where the sounds of mice scurrying and not being able to see much, very poor lighting, all of these things you want to describe for your reader. So that is my tip for the day. Again, if you have any questions, I will make future videos if it's something I can answer. And tune in next Saturday. Also, if you could hit the red subscribe button if you haven't already, recommend me to anyone else you know who wants to write or who is thinking about it, and click the bell for notifications so you are notified when I put out another video. Thank you for joining me, and wish you well.